Hi there, and welcome to another episode of A Conversation with Father Orsi. I'm B.C. Cloutier, President of Action for Life, and this is Father Michael Orsi. Doing good today, Father?
So far.
Good.
So
Are
good.
you a social media guy?
Well, I do look at Twitter. I do look at Facebook.
Yeah.
But that's about the extent of it. I don't go into Instagram and
That's true of me also. I also go to LinkedIn once in a while, which is a business thing. But we're going to talk about social media today and the relationship between parenting and social media. As you probably know, every time Mark Zuckerberg gets hauled before Congress, and he's the whipping boy because he's the high profile person, social media person. He always defaults to it's up to the parents. We don't want any control over Facebook or Instagram or whatever else they own. It's up to the parents. The problem with that is that we know that many parents are abdicating their responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
What I can tell you, based on a Gallup family and adolescent health survey that was protected recently, is that high social media use predicts a higher rate of poor mental health, and we're talking specifically about teens. A strong parenting relationship predicts lower health risk for teens. Now, here's the interesting one. The effect of a strong relationship holds even among heavy social media users. In other words, you can be on Facebook and Instagram and X and all the others, TikTok, all day long. If you have a good relationship with your parents, your mental health is unlikely to suffer.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
But when I ask you, BC, I mean, I'm not going to dispute the findings. However, if you are on all those social media sites,
yeah.
When do your parents get a chance to interact with you if you're doing this all day?
Well, very good question. When my kids were younger and smartphones were just coming into wide use, we probably went out for dinner once or twice a week, but we had a standing rule. No one, including me, and at the time I was in the online business, and I used to get 100 emails a day, as well as texts, but we had a standing rule, no one is going to take their phone out during dinner. We're having a family dinner. And with benefit of hindsight, I thought that was a very, very good decision because it forced us to speak to each other.
Right.
One of the few times.
But let's not go there.
There's another issue with social media, I think, and that is something that we talk about often, moral decay. What is acceptable on social media? And let me just say, I am as guilty as many others of denigrating people, making fun of people, things that would never occur in person, that do occur on social media, I think is problematic because then people start thinking they can do it in person.
Right.
They get away with it, and so they get more coarse, more just aggressive. I don't know. Social media is a pretty cool thing, but it has presented an awful lot of problems.
Yes. Social media is not going to go away.
Nope.
We have to learn how to deal with it. And although you say a good relationship with the parents, that the social media will not have that great of a negative impact on the kids, I still think that the parents have to know what the kids are viewing on social media. Certainly, there are sites that are detrimental to a child's psychological and spiritual well-being. I'm not just talking about pornography. I mean, that's prevalent throughout social media. But what about those sites where young people are told that they're ugly and that they're idiots, and they come in contact with people who are really influencing them in a very, very negative way, bullying via social media. I think parents have to be aware of that. If you see a child getting more and more withdrawn because they're sitting in their room by themselves, and Lord knows what they're watching or who they're talking to. Parents have to intervene in that. Now, here in Florida, we just have a law passed by Governor DeSantis that says that parents have to sign off on social media sites for anyone below 16 years old. And I think that's a good idea. If you're signing off, at least you know what the kid is watching. But during the scamdemic that we went through, a lot of kids were watching social media sites and getting more and more depressed. The end of the world was coming. We're all going to be dead. What's the purpose of living? The world is evil. This did tremendous amount of damage, and a lot of young people not only had emotional problems, but they also even committed suicide because of this. So, parents, if you just think because your little boy or little girl is being quiet in their room and because they're looking at their social media sites, you better take a look at what they're so involved with, because it can be very, very dangerous.
It's very, it has been proven that social media is a fertile ground for grooming. And we look at all of the issues with child sex trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
Much of that begins with social media.
Yeah.
That a predator engages someone. They usually look for single-parent household, maybe lower socioeconomic background, et cetera. Somebody, particularly, usually a girl, but sometimes boys also, and they groom them.
Yeah.
And pretty soon they have a meeting with them, and then it goes on, and the next thing you know, these kids are in, and here in Southwest Florida, I mean, it's easy to think in the abstract and say, well, that happens a lot in New York, and boy, the big cities, I bet you Miami's got a problem. We have a problem in Collier County.
Sure. And, they go online, they meet some creep online, they begin grooming them. Oh, meet me at the mall. And, the kid goes to the mall. And the next thing you know, the kid is involved in something that they shouldn't be involved in.
Right.
Then a lot of these kids, they just disappear.
They finally are convinced to run away. I don't even think most of them are snatched. They're just, meet me at the mall. Oh, let me buy you something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And pretty soon there's a romance, an alleged romance. And pretty soon it's like, listen, just meet me and you and I can live together,
right,
and I'll continue to love you and blah, blah, blah. And then it's, look, there's last year when we brought Jim Caviezel to Naples, one of the recipients, agency recipients, was Wings of Shelter International. They have 5 homes that are populated with underage girls who have been rescued from sex trafficking.
Right.
And they will tell you most of those girls began on social media.
Right.
The other thing that tweaks me is it would be very easy to require identification to sign up for a social media account. I mean, we provide IDs for all kinds of stuff. Of course, not voting, but everything else, right?
You don't need it for voting.
And so, if you want your kid to be on social media, fine. Provide a copy of their birth certificate that will verify their name and their age. Another thing that could be done, and technologically this is not that difficult, they could log everything that a kid does on social media and automatically send it to the parents or to the email address that was directed by the parent.
Right.
So every day you'd get an email that says, okay, here's what my kid was yesterday. And right away you know if there's a problem, right? The social media companies are pretending that they're doing all that they can. They're full of what the birds drop. They're not even close.
Yeah.
All they care about is advertising revenue.
I want to ask you a question. Certainly you're more savvy than I on this. TikTok. Okay. They say that's a dangerous site, TikTok. Is it because the Chinese are sending bad messages? Is it because it's owned by Chinese?
Yes.
Okay. Is it because the Chinese are collecting data?
I think that's one of the issues is Chinese are collecting data. Another issue is they can influence the American population.
Okay,
So, for
how would they
example,
influence? Yeah.
well, because they can suppress certain views and they can amplify other views.
Mhm.
And so if they were to choose one political party or one political candidate over another, they can manipulate the data. And that does occur on all social media. And then I think the other concern is that TikTok is no holds barred.
Mhm.
Pretty much everything is okay on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok. Now, people are beating up on TikTok because right now it's white hot, although the usage is slowly going
Mhm.
down. Because, as you know, kids get involved in fads and then they get bored and they go to something else. The reason that Facebook hangs in there is because it's people like us that want to see their kids and grandkids and
Right.
stay in touch. But I think that all social media has the ability to do a better job. They won't do that because they want as many eyeballs as possible.
I'd like to think that social media can do a better job. I think it's the Wild West out there.
No doubt
And
about it.
I don't know if we can corral it. And Congress was trying to get rid of TikTok. I know that was not going to happen because there's a lot of money involved with TikTok. And also it's a political platform for many
Right.
people.
And there are First Amendment rights. We've talked about
Right.
this on previous shows.
Right.
And that there's a delicate balancing act there. But I'll give you an example of what I think should not be permitted, but it is under the First Amendment. Right now, Facebook has introduced something called Reels, which is kind of an answer to TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
It's brief videos with sound. If you go on Reels, I did this morning because I wanted to do a little research in anticipation of this program. There are young girls, I mean, what I would guess are 12, 13-year-old girls, scantily dressed, dancing around. And in some instances, on the bottom it says, if you want to see the full video, click here. And it takes you to a paid site.
So there's no limit of age even with that stuff?
It's soft porn. I don't care what they say.
Right.
It's soft porn, right? And it isn't like one or two of these things is sneaking through. I looked at, let's call it 20 videos. A couple of them were the Buffalo Bills because I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. A couple were Buffalo Sabres because I'm a Sabres fan. The rest of them were sex stuff. Facebook says, well, I mean, that's, we don't want to impinge on anybody's First Amendment rights. A moral issue, once again, that this stuff shouldn't go on. And I don't know, do the parents not know that the kids are doing this? I don't know.
Yeah. We began this conversation talking about how important it is for the kids and parents to have a relationship.
Yep.
And then we said, of course, you got to supervise the kids, social media. We talked in another program about how important it is for parents to know what's going on in schools, what their kids are learning, because the schools have a tremendous impact. Social media has a tremendous impact. And if you don't watch what your kids are watching or doing or seeing or hearing or getting taught, I said one show, it's criminal. It's really child abuse. It is child abuse. So if something goes wrong with your child, even influencing a child to take drugs. Hey, look, folks. A lot of people are talking these days about the legalization of marijuana, medical marijuana. The other one now is entertainment. What do they call this? Entertainment marijuana. What do they call this stuff now? Recreational.
Oh,
recreational marijuana.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is being pushed and say, well, it's legal, you could go get yourself a little marijuana. Is there an age limit in high school? I mean, the kids just could pass it around. It's
well,
easy.
I mean, there's an age limit on alcohol,
Yeah.
but kids
Get it,
right?
Yeah.
Somebody else buys it.
Yeah.
And there are studies that show that young adolescents who are consuming a lot of marijuana, it affects their brain.
Sure, it
development.
does. It does.
Yeah.
It affects the synapses in the brain, and it detours certain circuitry, and you can end up with a very disturbed person. And the latest studies are it also decreases the lifespan 25%. 25%.
I just saw that.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Are you aware what your kids are doing? Are they smoking the weed? Are they drinking? You got to spend time with them, folks. You got to spend time with them. And at least, one of the minimum things is, at least have dinner a couple of times a week with your kids. And that way you find out, hey, this is what happened in school. This is what I was watching. Did you hear that Johnny got picked up for smoking marijuana in the bathroom? I mean, these are important conversations, and you find out who your kids are hanging out with.
We're going to take a break, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you a little story afterwards. We'll be back right after this. But for the moment, I'd like to talk to you about the expense of airing this program. Many people don't realize how expensive it is to produce this program and to get it on the air. Would you care to guess? It's about $3,000 per week. We think that's a reasonable expenditure, but obviously it's an expensive one. So we need to ask for your help. If you'll go to actionforlife.org and click on the donate button, it would be greatly appreciated. Now, you can donate once or you can donate each month, and we certainly have viewers who do both. We appreciate that. Please take time now to visit actionforlife.org and click on the donate button. Thank you so much for your support, and may God bless you always. Welcome back to A Conversation with Father Orsi. I'm BC Cloutier. Before the break, I said I'd tell you a little story.
Mm-hmm.
Someone advised me once upon a time when my kids were young to get them involved in golf and skiing. And I said, why golf and skiing? They said, because they're very expensive sports. And that'll keep your kids close to you. I didn't do that necessarily, but when my kids were teenagers, we had a big boat, like a boat that legally could accommodate 14 people. So I'd say to the kids, invite your friends. We're going out on the boat this weekend, or this Saturday, whatever. It kept the kids closer. And I think it's important that parents invite their kids' friends to their house so that they know what's going on.
Yeah, see who the friends are.
Yeah. And, what's the conversation, and just be involved in your kid's life.
Right. Yeah. I think you make a very, very important point there. You have to know who your kids are hanging out with.
Yeah.
And sometimes, they'll bring somebody home and you say, I don't know about this. I mean, this guy is a little bit of trouble here. Know who your kids are hanging out with. Take time to enter into some kind of a conversation with your children, because I think that's one of the best therapies in the whole world, to find out what's on their mind, what's going on in their life, and how can you help them. See, a lot of parents think, well, I'm not a professional psychologist. I'm not a teacher. Yes, you are. You're probably the best teacher, the first teacher that they'll ever have, and to lay the groundwork for their future.
And I think your point about having dinner, I think a family, and I regret to say we didn't do this, but I think a family should have dinner every night.
They should.
So you have some conversation about how was your day, what's going on, how are things at school, just, flowing conversation.
Yeah. So you are the best psychologist that they can have too. You know why? You're not getting paid to be a parent. Okay? You chose to have these children. You love these children. I hope you love your children. And what you want to do is to give them the best life that they possibly can have. Use your experience. And there's no better way to raise a child than to love that child. That there is unconditional love. And what you do and what you say is for their own good. It's for their own good. Even though they might not think so all the time, you're doing it because you love them, and they should know that you love them. Even if they start in, you're a mean mommy, you're not a good daddy. You let that, go like right over your head, because as they get older, they're going to say, boy, I had a wonderful mother, I had a wonderful father. They cared about me, and they put up with all of my nasty tantrums when I didn't get my own way.
And they will bring up their kids in that fashion.
That's right. That's right. It passes on from generation to generation. So, folks, when you have kids, it's not just having kids. You just can't leave them, to the state to raise those kids. No, they're your kids. You're their first and best teacher. And the best you could do for a kid is to have a loving home and a loving relationship. And if you have that, man, they're going to be off to a great start in life. And, sometimes just by being there and listening, you could nip a problem in the bud.
Yeah, I think that's right. Let's take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, folks. Over the weeks, you have become more and more familiar with our program, Conversations with Father Orsi. I know that you are enjoying the programs because you tell me that you do. I want you to be sure that you should never worry about missing an episode because you can go to actionforlife.org and catch all of the episodes that we have produced over the last year. Now, also, extra added bonus, you can watch my homilies, my weekly homilies about the Sunday readings. That's also on actionforlife.org. Lastly, both of these adventures, conversations and the homilies, they cost money. And I'm going to have to ask you if you can help us out because so many of you tell me how much you enjoy the program. Some people tell me our Sunday wouldn't be the same. We record the program, we watch them during the week. This is an expensive enterprise, and we think it's an important way to get out the gospel message and to talk about those issues of the day that are important to us as Christians. So please go to your website, actionforlife.org. There is a button you can click for donations, and please, please be generous to us to keep this show on the air. Your Sundays will not be the same without it.
Welcome back to A Conversation with Father Orsi. I'm BC Cloutier. We're talking about social media, Father, and we're talking more than that. But social media, being online is just part of life these days for virtually all of us. And there are a lot of great things online. I mean, I think about, search engines.
Sure, it's wonderful.
You're curious about something, you put in a few words, and voila, you got all kinds of information.
It's fantastic. How much you can learn from just saying, "Hey Siri."
Well,
or,
yeah.
I say just Siri.
Yeah, and you can research products. Right. You can learn the pros and cons of certain issues. Now, obviously, you have to filter it with your brain.
Yeah, because some of it might not be legit, right?
That's right.
You could have somebody giving you.
It's on the web. Certain issues, you have to filter it with your brain. Check it out.
Did you put that in there? Let it go. So there was Siri.
You see, folks, how easy it is? Siri is paying attention to me. So you better pay attention to me too. If Siri's listening to me, certainly you should be listening to me.
Now let's talk about the downside of the World Wide Web. And I'm not talking about the dark web because that's really bad. But a lot of people can't access that, fortunately. Just talking about the web. If you go on a search engine and you ask to see naked video, you will get to, 10 or a dozen pornography sites. And if you are 12 years old, that makes no difference whatsoever. You can click on that link and you will go to a pornography site, and there's no paywall anymore. There are ads instead, because they know that people get addicted to pornography and the free stuff doesn't do it for them anymore. So then they go into, live models and whatever else.
So actually, just make believe a kid, maybe an adult too. So they have like an advertisement Is that
Yeah,
an
so they've
advertisement?
got all, but you go to, there's one called Pornhub,
Mhm.
which has been sued several times and because of using minors in the
Mhm.
videos. But you go to the videos and you can search anything you want
Right.
in terms of ethnicity, et cetera. But you click on the video and you'll get hardcore pornography.
Mhm.
That simple. That used to be behind a paywall.
Mhm.
Well, the pornography companies finally figured out that they just give you that because after a while you get bored with it. And so then they have ads for any number of things, aberrant sexual behavior or just women with live cams.
And then how do you
And
pay?
that you pay for.
Okay, with a credit card?
Yeah.
A credit card.
Yeah.
Mm.
But my point is a 10, 12, 14-year-old kid can access hardcore pornography like that.
Yeah.
A few keystrokes and they are there. And that, I think, is detrimental to mental health.
That's horrible. If I had a little 12-year-old doing that stuff, holy cow, I'd be over that case like, whew.
Yeah. And so, back to the First Amendment. I don't know where this goes, and it's above my pay grade. On the one hand, I'm a former broadcaster.
Mhm.
I very, very much favor the First Amendment, our ability to freely express ourselves. On the other hand, it's gone way over the line,
Yeah.
and we're affecting mental health with some of this stuff. So I don't know. One of the things is I referred to it a few weeks ago incorrectly. It's Section 230
Mhm.
that says these companies, online companies, are not responsible for content that is posted by a user, not by them. If there were some consequences, if a parent could sue social media because they allowed something to allowed their child to be exposed to something, that would slow them down a lot. There'd be
Yeah.
a lot of litigation there. And it would be fought based on the First Amendment. I don't know what the answer is, but we need to do something.
Yeah. Hey, folks, like the message for the week, pay attention to your kids. Pay attention to your kids. Talk to the kids. Meet their friends. Make sure you know what they're viewing on social media, on their iPhone, or on their computer. And, make sure that you know that you are in charge of your children. It's your responsibility. Not to do so will make you a child abuser because you are abusing your child physically, mentally, and spiritually by not living up to your obligations as a parent.
Amen, Father. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again next week, same time and same place. In the meantime, I'm BC Cloutier, wishing you a great week and God bless. That Siri thing may actually be kind of